Dad. You weren't one for words, but somehow you didn't need words to communicate with me. It was hard because there was so many things I would articulate in my mind, but when face to face I couldn't get the words out. As I saw you getting weaker and could tell your days were growing shorter, my biggest worry was that you wouldn't realize how much you were loved. Words that, when spoken, swell me with emotion, but emotions I couldn't express directly with you. I got my bass.
Oh, you did?
When Tara first asked me about my dad, she recalls me casually replying, "He's a bum," which of course took her for surprise and a bit of a shock, but I explained, he lives out of his car, camping where he chooses. While my 17-year-old self may not have described it very eloquently, it was basically true. I don't think he ever owned anything more than he could fit in his car. He was free from responsibility and not burdened by debt. His carefree life became complicated with age, and his broken hip became more of a challenge than he was ready to accept in his 70s. Unlike when he was my age and dropping down bowls on Quandary Peak. I saw him regret not working harder to recover, but mostly he held unrealistic optimism that it would get better on its own. He was so smart that it's strange to think about how much he held on to these fantasies, but it was his way of coping, even if it made things difficult. It's one of the things I never fully understood about my dad. On one of his last big drives, he left Wisconsin through Canada for Washington to visit the Olympic Peninsula. He took it slow, and of course he took the scenic route. He'd been driving for at least a week, and on one of our calls he said he was less than a day away from Washington, but was turning around because he was getting tired of driving. I couldn't believe it. I said, "Dad, you've got to keep going. You're like practically there." But he turned around. I suppose he saw everything he had hoped to see. He loved to take photos, and around the same time he took the drive through Canada, he had been working on improving his photography skills, which were already pretty good. I had seen some of his photos as we were moving him from Cumberland to White Bear Lake, but it wasn't until he was in hospice that I was able to really see all the incredible photos he had taken. The night he died, I sat with him and described in detail his photos as I was looking at each of them. I commented to him that if life was measured in perfect sunsets, then his was long and full. I wish I would have asked more questions and listened to more stories, because every story he told sounded like an adventure, and I never remember hearing the same story twice. When I was born, he was 40 years old, 7 years older than I am now. When thinking of the stories that he shared with me and the incredible experiences he shared with us, it seems he lived a truly full and remarkable life. Yet there was always something that gave me a sense that he was unhappy, and that was my biggest fear for him as he approached his death. As I sat with him, he could bring up fear and anger, but I would just remind him of our train trips to Glacier and Vancouver, and of our camping trips together. I told him how much I appreciated everything we did together. What I was trying to tell him is that he taught me to fish and to golf and how to be the person I am today. He was always there for me, and I'm grateful that I was able to be there for him when he needed it. Because of that, I know that he died in peace. We didn't hug or kiss, and I barely even remember touching you. But on your final day, I held your hand, and in that touch, I knew that we never needed words to speak to one another. So I don't know if you can hear me, but I hope you know how much you meant to me for everything you did.